Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of Self Modifying Code. I am your increasingly rare host, Code Marvelous, and with me is longtime friend of the show and Netrunner quester, Alan. Welcome, Alan.
Hey, yeah, it's been a bit. Just for
So,
Netrunner in general, too.
yeah, I mean, I've been kind of on a bit of a hiatus. I pick up a game here and there, but I haven't been nearly as active as I was where I was playing, like 2 to 3 games a day at least on JNet.
Right, right.
So, today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. As many of you are likely aware, but hopefully some of you are not, Netrunner has continued on past the Magnum Opus event in 2018 in the hands of the volunteers at NISEI, which is an organization that is putting out new cards, new sets, managing the tournament metas, and making a lot of really fantastic prize support for this game. You can find them at nisei.net, and I'm going to link a couple of key articles in the comments below. So check that out. But today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the advanced dual decks from System Gateway, which is their core replacement new starting point product that they're going to be putting out to help new players jump into the game, or players who maybe came into the game in the last year or so of Netrunner and don't have access to a full collection. Rather than having to print a bunch of proxies, we're going to be starting from this point with a limited card pool of some of the last sets from FFG. So these dual decks are factionless, abilityless, and have no influence maximums, meant to kind of introduce people to the core concepts of the game without them having to have an understanding of the factions or build around a color pie. We were sent these. This is a bunch of. We're going to be the first people playing with them. Well, besides the playtesters, of course. But we're going to be the first public play of these decks. Alan's going to be joining me. I figured this would be a great reintroduction for us coming back to the game and kind of going over the high level how to play and showcasing a bunch of their new cards. So, Alan, where do you want to start? Do we want to start with the runner, or do we want to start with the corp? We're going to go over the cards very briefly and the different subtypes.
Um, why don't we start with the runner? Just kind of the pieces, see how they come together a little better. You kind of always have your corp cards. You've got a basic idea of where they all go, and usually with a runner deck, you kind of have to get a little bit more of an understanding of where you're trying to fit the pieces together.
I agree. And I also think that intuitively, a lot of times when people play this game for the first time, they intuitively think being the runner, the aggressive player, is easier. But I actually find that it's easier to play the first time as the corp because you have all of the hidden information and you're kind of setting the pace of the game. Whereas the runner learning how to manage that aggression is something that isn't always easy and intuitive right away.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem is kind of no matter which side you sit down on is getting yourself to be aggressive. And I think if both people are refusing to be aggressive, I think the corp has an easier time
I
not
agree.
being aggressive.
I agree. So, runners have 4 different subtypes: events, programs, resources, and hardware. And while some elements of these are kind of intuitive, we're going to go over them a little bit. So if you're coming from like a Magic or other card game standpoint, an event is more or less like an instant where you play the cost, you pay the cost, you play the card. It has an effect on your turn. Most of them specify on your turn using one of your 4 actions as the runner. 3 actions if you're the corp, but we'll get into that later. And you just pay the cost and you get the effect, right? So events are one of the main sources of economy and tempo for the runner because these are the things that modify kind of the base actions that you can take in the game. So let's talk about the ones we have. The first one here is the Creative Commission, So it's a one cost event where you gain 5 credits. So unlike Sure Gamble, where that also nets you 4 credits, but has that minimum buy-in of 5 credits, this only has a minimum buy-in of 1. But it has the caveat that if you have any clicks remaining, you lose 1 click. So it's a double if you play it as anything besides your last click. So if you want to use this money this turn, you have to lose an extra click. What do you think, Alan?
It's interesting, you know, of course we're going right into a couple different levels, but it's kind of like we're balancing somewhere between a double and a terminal.
Right.
Right?
We're giving you the choice, right? That's something that Greg said about his design is his design aesthetic is he'd rather than try to pigeonhole things with power himself. He'd rather give people costs of choices or
Right.
choices of costs that they can
Right.
pick between, which I think creates an interest. Anything where you're creating the potential for multiple lines of play is always more interesting.
Right. And it doesn't set quite as overly high a power bar as something like a terminal does because it, you know, even if it's your last click, it's not a hard stop to your turn either.
Right. And I think the other neat thing about this, the first thing that came to mind for this is that turn where you have to really dig in to the remote, right? In order to contest an agenda, and then you're broke and you're worried about being counterattacked, right?
Right. You're like, I'm going to die. Right.
Creative Commission says, I'm going to end my turn, and even though I don't have a lot of money, I now have more money. So I'm a little bit safer than I was before.
Right.
So I can easily see this being a shaper staple. I think time will tell whether or not at 2 influence it gets exported to other factions. Here's
Yeah.
Jailbreak. Jailbreak, I think, is real neat, and I also like the Jailbreak has the character on it from it has the catalyst on it.
Ah, okay, yeah.
And if you run HQ or R&D, if successful, draw 1 card. When you breach the attack server, which is the new word for that they're using they're getting into templating, like
Right, right.
Magic, where they're saying
If you
breach
access
means
any
the
member.
run was successful and you access cards.
Right. Right. So now a replacement to deviate already, but so then a replacement effect would say that you're then not breaching.
Right. So you access 1 additional card because breaching is specifically a successful run where you access cards.
Right.
So you get to draw 1 card, so it's positive tempo for you if you're successful on the run, and if you're accessing a card, you're getting to access 1 additional card. So it's a 0 cost, 1 card legwork or Maker's Eye, right? And
Right.
you get
Well,
to draw
it
a card.
replaces itself.
And it
Yeah.
replaces itself. So it's very tempo positive at 0 cost, and it encourages new people to run.
Yeah. And at very relatively little, punishment in itself, Maker's Eye, you could have, you can dump 3 credits in and get stuffed because you used it at a bad time, but Jailbreak, worst case, you're really just out the card itself.
Right. So we have Mutual Favor. It's a criminal. 3 influence. Search your stack for an icebreaker program and reveal it. If you made a successful run on this turn, you may install it, otherwise add it to your grip. So this is like a special order plus, right? It's cheaper.
Yeah, it's cheaper and it's stronger, right?
And it's stronger, right? If you already made a run, if you made a successful run, which there's a bunch of cards that kind of gets back to kind of the core game plan of Criminal, of like threatening money runs on multiple servers and, trying to keep servers open for that style of play, which would make this card really useful. We also have Overclock. I like this one. This is the Stim Hack replacement. It costs 1. You put 5 credits on it. So again, it's kind of like a Sure Gamble. then run on any server, you can spend the hosted credits during that run. So it's like StimHack, but without the negatives and without the huge dump of money that made it so that it was very, very hard for anybody to keep a server safe in the late game.
Right. Although at the same time, we don't have self-modifying code anymore. Is that correct? So we no longer have the take a brain damage, get something expensive for free.
Yeah, well, there's going to be replacements for it.
Yeah.
That are outside of the cone of reality of what I'm able to talk about here.
Sure, sure. I was just remembered something about it finally rotating.
No, it's still in the game as of right now.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well then I guess we do. Yeah, I guess we do still have that. But again, replacing StimHack, we no longer have the giant dump of money into something where you're just paying the brain damage sort of as your cost.
Yep. We have the classic Sure Gamble with the lovely new art. We have Tread Lightly, another criminal event. Run any server during that run. The res cost of each piece of ice is increased by 3. So unlike the various ways that FFG tried to implement these types of effects in Crim that were like too weird to use, this just works. And the Corp can just get around it by just deciding not to res ice and letting you have that single access, right?
Well, yeah. I feel like this is gonna be tough on some remotes.
Oh,
But,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Like, remembering that this is in the game is going to be one of those things where, people are going to include it in their corp math. Right? Where it's just like, how much ice can I res with a Tread Lightly? Which ice do I res? Because I think this, especially, is going to become a staple, especially at one influence. Like, this event, if we end up going into, like, an ice-heavy meta, like, this is going to be very good.
Yeah.
So we have VRcation. I love the art on this where they're on like not a beach. Everybody's got VR goggles so that they think that they're at the beach.
Right.
Draw 4 cards. If you have any clicks remaining, lose 1. So this is like Creative Commission, but it's the draw focused one.
Yeah, it reminds me of
Quality Time.
Yeah, it's a little bit quality time. I was also reminded of was it Game Day?
Oh yeah. You're right. Yeah. So and then we've got Wildcat Strike.
Yeah, this is interesting.
This is what I'm talking about. So it's got Loop on there. Probably going to be one of my new favorite people in the Netrunner lore. And you resolve 1 of the corpse choice. So you play this for 2. And the corp decides whether you gain 6 credits or you gain 4 cards. Which is so wild. So you better be prepared to eat those 4 cards, right? Because if they're trying to protect a server, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because I wouldn't think of those as even in value a lot of the time. So it's almost kind of
it's going to be hard to put the corp in a situation where it's not clear which one of those is better for you right now as the runner.
right.
But if you play an event heavy deck with a lot of money, then saying I'm not going to give you the 6 credits, I'm going to give you the 4 cards, that could just be giving them different money.
Right. Well, see, I almost always would be inclined to think, a lot of the time I'd say I'd certainly rather you play a sure gamble from your hand than to draw 4 cards.
4 options, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Which may also be a sure gamble.
So we got some real neat hardware. So hardware is stuff that ostensibly exists in Meat Space. Your console is in there. And there are permanent things that exist in Meat Space that usually give you kind of stable long-term effects. So let's talk about them. We have Dzmz Optimizer. It's a piece of hardware that gives MU. So it's kind of like a mem chip, though they've removed that kind of subtyping from it. Mm-hmm. And it just says the first program you install each turn costs 1 less to install. That's nice. Yeah, memory and value, right?
Yeah, I'd say it's kind of slow, though at the same time you can have more than one installed.
Yep, it's not unique. So you could potentially have two down. So if you were doing some sort of program cycling, you could potentially get a fair amount of value out of this.
Yeah.
We have Docklands Pass, which features our new criminal. Beautiful piece of art with a lot of good use of the blue color. For the first time each turn you breach HQ, there's that code word breach again. You access one additional card. So this is HQ Interface 2.0. But
It's light.
it only costs two,
Hmm.
but it's unique. You can only have one. So you can't create the putting down the multiple HQ interface, like completely sweep the hand every time you run kind of lock situation.
Well, it's also the first time. That's
Oh,
a
I'm sorry, the first
big
one. That's a big difference, yeah.
It's a big difference. This is why I said it was light. Yeah, it's one thing that you only get one extra access. It's another thing that you only get one extra access once a turn.
Right, and that's one of the other things that people in the NISEI design team have talked about with me, is that things that always work 100% of the time when you just put it down and it gives you this thing forever within no conditions is very boring and can often lead to degenerative deck styles, right? So
Right.
one of the problems with things like HQ interface and R&D interface is they had no caveats, right? It just said whenever you access cards from HQ, access an additional card. So then people were doing crazy stuff with Gang Sign and with other events and things that let you access cards from HQ. You know what I'm saying? And it just
Right.
created these situations where the cards were being used to create these locks that were very difficult, if not impossible, to break out of. So having
Right.
a card that has a condition of you have to be the one running, you can make it cheaper.
Right. The caveat for the old ones was basically they're mediumly expensive.
Right.
So, yeah, and that doesn't, in the long term, that doesn't really do it.
Right, and especially as time went on and runners and corps became more and more rich, a lot of the cards were it's just like, well, this is 4 credits. It's like, okay, that's irrelevant.
Right.
All right, so Penny Shaver is the console here for the Catalyst. So really beautiful art. I love the hard light like interface systems. Another memory on this one. 3 credits to install. Like all consoles, it's unique except for Forger. Whenever you make a successful run, place 1 credit on this hardware. And then you can click to take 1 credit, put 1 more credit on it, and then take all of the credits. So it's like a Desperado that you have to spend another click of tempo to take the money off of.
What's interesting, though, is it does sort of replace the basic credit. Now, I don't know if there's any cards still around that care about it, but, we did have those cards here and there that said, when somebody takes the basic credit or basic draw action, trigger something. And it's interesting that because this places a credit on the hardware, then lets you take everything, you can always sort of use that.
You can always
action
use
to
this
get
instead
one.
of the basic action, yeah.
Yeah, and so that, if there's ever any cards that sort of care about taking that basic credit, you can sort of dodge them.
So now we have programs, which are kind of the bread and butter of how runners interact with corpse. There's 3 different types of ice in the game, generally speaking. Barriers, sentries, and coat gates that need to be broken. And the different icebreakers generally will focus on a specific ice type. So up first, we have an icebreaker killer, which means that it goes against sentry subroutines. Carmen, I'm assuming that's reference to the opera Carmen. 5, so that's a pretty steep cost. But if you made a successful run this turn, this program costs 2 less to install. What?
So 3 is pretty solid. I'm blanking on sort of what else we would have had around there.
Nothing much. Bugalter is 4, I believe, right?
I'd have to go check. It's been way too long.
Or maybe it's 3. But even still.
But yeah.
It has the dreaded 2 for
the
plus
dog.
3 strength, which can get weird on some ice. But for a beginner piece, we'll take it. And again, we see another new keyword. It says interface. So you can only break sentry subroutines while interfacing with the ice, which replaces the, well, after the encounter, you are now encountering the ice, and while encountering the ice, you can do this thing, but when does the encounter begin? And, like, yeah. So it's just after you do any on encounter effects, you're interfacing with ice, and that's when all of the breaking and everything happens again. So we see some more templating coming in.
Right.
Cleaver, love this piece of art made by the irreplaceable Cat Shan, one of Netrunner's greatest fan artists and now mainstay artists, I'd say. This is the barrier breaker. 2 for 1, 2 subroutines for 1 credit. Love to see it. But
2 credits for 1 strength.
But 2 credits for 1 strength hurts bad.
So bad. But you're base 3. We're getting through the cheap stuff.
Yep. And we got Conduit, which is a virus, and whew, it's a good one. So it's 4 credits. When a successful run on R&D ends, you may place a virus counter on this program. So unlike Medium, where you get the counter when the run's successful, this one you get it after the run is successful and finished. Then you can click to replace the basic action again to run R&D. If successful, you gain cards equal to X, whereas X is the number of hosted virus counters. So for those of you who are just joining the game, viruses are a type of program that gain counters that do various things, but then the corp can either spend 3 clicks, or there's other cards that purge virus counters that clear these cards of counters and reset them. Whereas other things like icebreakers a lot of time cannot be de-strengthened that way.
I'm trying to remember. Medium required you to have more than 1 counter on it, right?
Yeah, but it was trivial, right? You didn't get one for the first counter, but then after that, you got the counter at success, but before access. Right. Whereas this is after the run's over, you get 1 more counter, so the next run gets better.
Right. So, but the math actually works out about the same because you're getting X additional, right? Because your first successful run gave you 0 more on that, but now you don't have to do the weird sort of.
That's true, I suppose.
My first virus token. Yeah.
I guess the math is similar, but I think having it bump up after as opposed to before, like, changes a lot of the functional math for things like the last run of the turn and things where you're doing, like, last ditch efforts on R&D, or like spending, clicks to move virus tokens around. I don't know, but we'll see. So the reason
I think it buffs moving. Oh, sorry, it buffs moving virus tokens around actually, right? Because you're effectively at +1 more token compared to the old medium.
Right. So Leech is kind of like Data Sucker. So whenever you make a successful run on a central server, place 1 virus token on this program. Hosted virus counter ice you are encountering gets -1 strength for the remainder of the encounter. So very similar to Data Sucker. Yeah.
I think it may actually just be a functional reprint at the moment, unless we. I know there was discussion of whether or not it would be a may place a virus counter, which would be a little bit of a change. But hey, strength goes down. Use it with Cleaver.
Yep, and that's...
Please don't pay the 2 credits.
Yeah, please don't pay the 2 credits, yep. So Mayfly is our first AI breaker. So AI is an untyped breaker type that can break any type of ice, generally speaking, and also can break untyped ice, like traps, which we'll probably see at some point. It's straight up and down. 1 breaks 1 subroutine. 1 gives you 1 strength. It starts at 1 strength. It costs 1 to install. But if you break a subroutine with this bad boy, it's gone. Because it gets slapped by the corp like a bug on the arm, right? I love that theme. So it's cheap. It gets you in 1 time, and then it's gone. I love it. And then we have our decoder, which is Unity. So it's 1-for-1 and 1-for-1 strength. And it also gets plus. Oh, I'm sorry. It's 1 for +1 strength for each installed icebreaker, including this one. So, hypothetically, if you had Unity and a cleaver and a Carmen installed, it would be 1 credits to boost this by 3 up to 4. And then 1 more credit to take it all the way up to 7. So that's really good once you're in the late game. Very shapery feeling. What do you think about this one?
I mean, and not only that, but I mean, we've got 3 extra memory here. We've got, we could throw down a second, we could install a second cleaver just for the extra boost. We have, these mayflies as temporary things,
Well, I don't even see them as temporary. I could see that you using them if you absolutely have to, but just tossing down the mayflies to buff Unity, right?
Right,
To whatever,
right.
so that whatever the base 1 boost is going to get you to the most common code gate. If that's 5, then you make sure there's a cleaver, a Carmen, a Unity, and 1 mayfly. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you're talking to the person who, for some reason, tried to play Torch, which was what was that, base strength 7?
It was like, no, it was like base strength
Right.
5 and it cost 9 because it was back when everything
Right.
was ludicrously expensive.
Right. But it just, it's that same thing as you made it cheap. Yeah, sorry, it was 9 for 4 strength. It was even, yeah. So here we're basically, you've got 6, you have your 3 icebreakers installed, and you've got 6 free credits to spend, where it's basically acting like a torch.
Right. All right, so now we have our resources, which are like meat space and virtual space connections, things that we have access to help us out. They could be people, they could be data plans or farms or contracts. It's anything that doesn't really fit into these other categories, but is something that can assist the runner and create unique effects. Our first one is
places in meta.
yeah.
Sorry.
Is red team, which is a job. So when you load this up like a baked potato with 12 credits onto it, and when it's empty you trash it, and you can click to run a central server. Again, we're replacing an action. Has to be a central server you have not already run. If successful, take 3 credits from this resource. So it's like Temujin with more flexibility as to where you target it, but you can't use it more than once on like an empty archives.
Right. There's no way to just no matter what, there's no way to just dump it in a single turn.
Right.
Even if everything's totally empty, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But also the fact that you have to choose a different server every time definitely slows it down a lot.
It is really expensive, but I know for a fact other people have already spoiled that career fair exists in the system gateway pool of cards. So
Okay.
you could shave 3 cost off of this, which makes it pretty damn good.
Yeah.
2 for
Definitely.
12 credits that you just kind of peel 3 off every turn. Seems
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So we have Smartware Distributor. It's 0 cost. It's a connection, so it's a friendo. Place. So you can spend a click to place 3 on this resource, and when your turn begins, you take 1 from it. So it's drip, but it's drip you have to work for. Like, what was that called?
Yeah, I'm blanking.
Like the credits, the something accounts.
Oh.
There was it's like that NBN asset. Anyway,
Yes.
personal
Yeah.
accounts or something.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's why I was having so much trouble trying to remember what it was, because I kept thinking it was a runner card, but you're absolutely right. Yeah.
All right, so then we have telework contract, which is another job. When you install this resource, load 9 onto it when it's empty, trash it. Take 3 from it and use this only once per turn. Honestly, this one's better, in my opinion, than red team because it just does the thing.
Right.
Then it becomes a 1-click drip. And then we have verbal plasticity, which is a unique resource. It's a genetic mod. The first time each turn you draw cards with the basic action, you draw one extra card.
Yeah.
That's very good. And if you can get it
Very.
early, it'll really help you spool up.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
very symmetrical visage kind of vibes there.
Yeah, absolutely. So now let's look at the Corp. So now we have the Syndicate. Lovely, lovely piece of art. Tagline is "You work for us, you just don't know it yet," which I absolutely adore as a piece of flavor text. Oh, I'm sorry. Flavor text on the catalyst is "Are you ready to start something big?" And yes, I am. Get your friends hooked on Netrunner. So the different types of cards are, I'm going to zoom out just so people can see the subtypes. Oh, apparently that's just an issue with the website. Never mind. Okay, so we have agendas, which are what you need to score as the runner to win and what the corp needs to score to win. As a runner, you just need to access the agenda to steal it. As the corp, you have to advance equal to the number in the top right corner using an action where you spend a click to play and spend a click and 1 credit to put 1 advancement counter on an agenda. So this top agenda, Off-World Office, would take 4 advancements, but then would net you the number on the left middle 2 victory points out of 7. So when you first score this agenda, gain 7 credits, or when you score this agenda. So it would cost you 4 clicks and 4 credits to advance this, but then you would get those 4 credits back and 3 additional credits, which would help recoup some of the tempo loss of scoring it. Very straight up and down, right?
Yep, just cash back.
Orbital Superiority. It's another 4-2 when you score this agenda. If the runner is tagged, do fort meat damage. Otherwise, give the runner 1 tag. So we got another one of these agendas, like a lot of the Wayland ones from back in the day, where it's like if you score this off turn instead of finishing it at the end of your turn, interesting, cool stuff can happen, right?
Yep.
Send
Blow up their house.
Send a message. This is 5 for 3. When this agenda is scored or stolen, you may res 1 piece of ice, ignoring all costs. Man, this sounds like something from the past, like Pyrrec.
Yeah, but this is also if stolen as well. This is
Yep. So yeah, it works both ways. So a nice consolation prize for it getting stolen is that you get to shore up your defenses, and it rewards you putting ice down instead of holding it in your hand.
Yep,
Well,
but
well,
that does mean you're thinning out your hand. You know, if there's less ice in your hand, that means there's more agendas.
that's true. And then our last agenda is a 3-1 called Superconducting Hub. When you score this agenda, you may draw 2 cards. And when it's in the corp score area, you get +2 maximum hand size. So you could go up to 7 hand size, which is pretty good.
Yeah, that is a super good note to chuck in there, though, is text that just says you have or things like that only tend to apply when the corp scores them. You don't get them by stealing them as the runner. Now, sometimes we'll have agendas here and there that'll say, you know, the runner gets what have you when it happens. But in general, the
That is not
agendas
the
are only
case.
positive for the runner or
Yeah.
positive for the corp.
Yep. So we have for assets, which are things that go into remote servers that are not agendas and they cannot cohabitate with agendas. You have Nico Campaign. When you res this asset, put 9 credits onto it. When it's empty, trash it and draw 1 card. So that's nice. When your turn begins, take 3 from this asset. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. A little bit less cash than the old standby, but much cheaper to res, and it replaces itself if it survives.
Yeah, I like this trend of cards replacing themselves to keep the game tempo positive, right?
Yep. It's also only 2 to trash, though, which makes things
Even
a little bit
Stevens.
easier to a little bit easier to clean up. You
Yeah.
know, say the older comparison would be Adonis, and that was 4 to res for 3 to trash.
Yep.
Yeah. So next we have
Regolith mining license. So it's 2 to res, 3 to trash. When you res this asset, put 15 onto it and click to take 3, similar to the Shaper one.
yep, clean up. But
Or
you
a
can
oh, go ahead.
well you can just quickly dump as much as you can off of it too.
Correct.
That's
This
the
does not
interesting
have the
difference.
caveat of once per turn. So you could install this, res it, and get 6 off of it in a single turn, netting you 4 credits. Or if it
Which
was already
is
installed, you could res it and get 9 off of it on a single turn, or a net 7, which is pretty good.
yeah, not bad.
Urtica Cipher. Nice art here. You can advance this asset. When the runner accesses this asset while it's installed, do 2 net damage plus 1 net damage for each hosted advancement counter. So I read that as 1 instance of 2.
Yeah, this could be probably blocked out a little bit better, but yeah, it's 2 net damage plus X net damage, where X is the number of hosted advancement counters.
Correct. Right. So it's a base of 2. So it's like a snare, a 2 net damage snare, and then it's 1 additional net damage for each advancement.
Right. Right. No more doubling the value here.
Yep. So
But the
for
base value's
ice,
good.
we have Bran 1.0 or Brawn, Brawn.
Probably
So
Brawn.
now it's lose a click to break 1 subroutine. So again, they're templating out the lose a click effect. And then it's you may install 1 piece of ice from HQ or archives directly inward from this ice, ignoring all costs.
Yep.
And then end the run. 6 for 6. So it's real expensive, but it's got good strength, especially
Quite hefty. Yeah.
if people are using Cleaver.
Yeah, 3 clicks is a lot to spend,
We have Diviner, which is 2 for 2 cost, 3 strength code gate. Do 1 net damage if you trash a card with a printed play or install cost that is an odd number, and the run. 0 is not odd. That is really neat, and that is some serious Jinteki bullshit.
Yo, yeah.
Funhouse. It's a 5 for 4 code gate. When the runner encounters this ice, and the run unless the runner takes 1 tag. So we're getting back to
NVM tag
business
shenanigans.
and
Yep.
give the runner 1 tag unless they pay 4. So this is always going to be taxing. It's always going to be relevant. Yep. Karuna. Do 2 net damage. The runner may jack out. It's a 4 cost, 3 strength. So they never have, if this fully fires, they never have to encounter the second subroutine. But they can if they want to eat the 4 net damage to continue on. Again, I like that there's a choice here and that we're introducing choices of lines and consequences, right? For both the ice choice and placement and the runner for allowing it to fire, right? Instead of it just being a flat, this thing now happens, right?
Right.
Palisade, 3 for 2. While this ice is protecting a remote, it gets +2 strength. That's pretty good. And the run.
Right. It's an early game sort of scoring kind of thing. Yes, it works in an emergency, but also, it slows them down enough. Coming back to we're talking about Cleaver. It takes it from 2, where it's 1 credit, to all the way up to 3 credits every time, because you have to pump and then break.
Absolutely. And then we have Tithe, which is a 1 for 1 sentry. So this basically says, do you have the breaker, right?
Right.
And if you don't, you take 1 net damage and the corp gains 1 credit.
That's a very nice, sneak that either in front of something on a remote and just make it annoying, or put it on the central and make them deal with it every time they want to get in.
Yep. And then White Space, 2 costs, 0 strength code gate. So again, it's saying, do you have your breaker? And the runner loses 3, and then if that 3 would bring them below 6 credits or less, then it ends the run, which is really neat.
Yeah, and losing that 3 is a pretty brutal face check early on, but also, it doesn't exactly keep the agenda safe either.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, because if the runner is rich and camping your remote, this isn't keeping them out.
Right. It gives you an opening. You might have to give up that agenda, you know. Maybe you send a message and you get to throw a brand in front of it, or res the brand in front of it for free, and then maybe you've got your window. But yeah, it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now we're talking about operations, which very similar to the events is kind of like instants. So we have Lizzie Mills here, or very evocative of Lizzie Mills.
Yeah.
So government subsidy. So big money is for Wayland now. 10 credits to gain 15 credits.
Yep. Slightly, it's a hedgier fund.
Yeah, it's restructure, but it's for Wayland like restructure should have been.
Right.
We have hedge fund, classic.
Yep.
We have predictive planogram. Resolve one of the following if the runner is tagged. Zero costs. You may, if the runner is tagged, resolve both instead. So it's always good because it's always tempo positive. But if they're tagged, it's really good.
Yeah, it's either good or great.
Right, right. It's right. It's either decent or it's great. Um,
Becomes a clearance to
yeah. Then public trail. I love this card. So 4 credits. Play only if the runner made a successful run during their last turn. Give the runner 1 tag unless they pay 8. So instead of doing the C-source games of people having these races between a billion credits, it's just say how much damage. If you have money as the runner, it says how much damage do you think I can do versus how much do you want that 8 credits.
Yeah, 8 is such a. I mean, four is a pretty hefty cost to pay for that, but 8 is such a brutal number to try and get out of.
Right. Retribution. Play only if the runner is tagged. Trashed 1 install, program, or piece of hardware. And unlike Bad Times or other cards that tried to do this before, where, it's just like, oh, they lose to him. No, this just says, if they're tagged, trash something. Much better. Low cost. Caveat of only 1 piece. Perfect. Good design.
Yeah.
And counter attacking in a way that doesn't just immediately end the game. Right?
Yeah.
Right. Like destroying a piece of hardware or a piece of program does not immediately end the game.
No, but it does kind of leave that window open to sort of punish the people who are trying to get away with just, 1 copy of a breaker.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be seeing much of that in the future with NISEI really trying to restrict how easy it is to use recursion in anything besides Shaper.
Right.
All right, so we have seamless launch. It's our last operation. So it's 1. So you can place 2 advancements counters on 1 installed card that you did not install this turn. So it's kind of like a biotic, but only for cards that are already installed. So it would let you fully finish a 4-2 that you installed last turn.
Yeah, I mean,
So it
with both of
punishes
them,
people. It rewards you for pushing the envelope, and it punishes the runner for not checking a card. Right? This is
yeah,
good design because on both sides of the table, it's pushing the player to do what they should be doing. Right? Because this card becomes valueless if the runner is checking your remote, and it rewards you for pushing rather than holding agendas.
yeah, I'd be I'd be very inclined to actually, if I was going to run them, I'd run 3 in all honesty, because if you've got 2, then just naked agenda is done.
I agree.
No matter what it is, if you're holding more than 1.
So the last thing that we have is 2 little upgrades, and upgrades is a type of card that modifies the server that they're in, and they can cohabitate with assets or agendas because they are upgrades on the server itself. We have Amaze Amusements. It's unique, which in this case doesn't matter because we only have 1. And it costs 1 to res, and it's persistent. So whenever a run on this server ends, if the runner stole any agendas during that run, give the runner 2 tags. And the persistent is the key word that says this effect stays in play even if the runner accesses this card first and trashes it.
Right.
So this is another way for NBN to put tags onto the runner, but it still requires that interaction, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, if they steal agendas is actually a very interesting sort of caveat on it, you know. It's
Right.
not just a hard punishment for it existing in the server. It really has to be in the moment.
Yeah. Then the last one is Manigarm. I want to say Manigarm. Skunkworks. Whenever the runner approaches this server, end the run unless they either pay 2 clicks or 5 credits. Pay the
Good old
tax.
Haas. Yep.
Yeah, pay the click tax.
Bioroid Dexes. Yep.
Yeah. So I like these dual decks. I think they're pretty well matched. Let's get to it. So which side would you like to play first? You're my guest, so I will let you pick.
Oh man, putting me on the spot. Let's start with Corp. I'll start with Corp Air, just for get my brain in the headspace.
I'm gonna turn off spectators just so people don't come in and say stuff to us.
Right.
All right, so let's look at our opening hand, people, and I'm gonna return the zoom to a functional distance.
Yeah, speaking of, yeah, I changed monitors. I'm definitely gotta.
Okay, so everybody watching at home, looking at this hand, I do not feel super great about it, even though I have this money card, because I don't have anything that really accelerates me super duper well. So I'm gonna mulligan this.
No. Technically, I think as the Corp, I have to make the decision first, and I've got 1 piece of ice, so I'm gonna also send that back.
All right, so let's throw that into the abyss. All right, lead us off.
Alrighty. So, I'm going to click 1, draw. Click 2. I'm going to install over R&D, and click 3. I'm going to install in a new remote.
All right, so I'm gonna start turn. I'm gonna put down telework contract. I'm gonna take 3 credits off of it. I'm going to put this down, and I am going to use VRcation, and then I'm gonna have to get rid of something, and I'm gonna get rid of a tread lightly, which I will probably regret.
It's always tough for those. So we're going to click 1, install in server 1. Clicks 2 and 3, I'm going to take credits.
All right, so you should always try to draw first. So I'm gonna draw, so I get 2 cards. I'm going to click this, and then I'm going to gamble. And then I am going to put down this, I suppose.
Alrighty, there's the red team.
So now I'm kind of giving Alan a little bit of pressure, because now there's 2 completely open servers that I could use red team on and get information, accesses, and money.
Right. Now I'm going to click 1, draw. Click 2 is going to be to draw. And click 3 is going to be to install this over HQ, and I'm gonna have to bin a couple things, which are thankfully face down. It's always a hard decision, though. Alrighty.
So I'm going to try to do something fun here. We're going to hit archives.
Yep. Alrighty. Have at it.
So I got to see what he put in there face down, which is Manigarm, Skunk Works, and Urtica Cypher. Urtica is probably more likely. I'm going to play Mutual Favor to put down Mayfly, and I get to install it because I made a successful run. And then I'm going to click this to run HQ.
Alrighty. So, choice here.
So now he has to choose whether or not he wants to res the ice and keep me out, or whether or not he wants to just let me in. Looks like
So I'm gonna let you.
he's just gonna let me in.
Have at it. Yep.
Yeah, I'll get rid of that. And then
Fair enough.
let's do R&D. Let's do the trifecta.
Alrighty. And enjoy some white space.
Okay. It is worth it for me to break this.
Yep. And what's fun is, yeah, you have to break both of them because you go.
I will
Down
steal,
low.
send a message. So you're going to get to res something for free. Look at all of this interesting interacting we're having.
Oh, yeah. So, I will.
Oh,
gladly
and you
take
got a
some
brand
free
for
brawn.
freezies. Don't like that.
No, I'm
Don't like
sure.
that one bit.
So let's. Advance, and credit.
All right, so let's hit archives.
Yep. Get your last of your money.
Let's do Wildcat Strike.
Okay. Yeah, you can have 6 credits.
All right, let's draw. Get that extra card. And then let's put that down. Balder, come here, buddy. Come here. Your adoring public wants to see you.
We're gonna credit, and install this over HQ.
All right, so let's draw 2 cards. Let's load this up. What am I doing with my life? I have all these choices. Let's do this. Let's run R&D with this.
Okay.
Let all subroutines fire.
Alrighty. There you go.
So, steal.
Okay.
And then I will use Creative Commission to gain a bunch of money.
Alright.
I feel pretty okay about that, you know?
Yeah. I'm gonna take 3 clicks, 3 credits, and dump a card.
All right. Yes, I would love to get it. So we're going to put down Cleaver.
Yeah.
We're going to draw. We're going to take the money off of this. And then we're going to put a new one down.
Alrighty.
So now we're starting to really get tempo positive. And you're having a little bit of a hard time pushing here.
Yep. There's a bit of trouble there, but credit, and there's finally a government subsidy. which
So
helps a lot.
I actually think I'm going to make the choice to lose the extra click to actually have the ability to install this stuff.
Yeah, I can see that. Just a run. Yeah.
Nope, not just a run.
Wow.
All right.
So we're going to government subsidy again.
Oof.
Yep.
Big spender over here.
Install and install.
All right, so we're gonna click that. We're gonna put down the Dzmz Optimizer, and then we're gonna immediately use it to put down Leech.
Sure.
Then we're gonna load up this baked potato. Balder, stop being a butt. Just come sit. I know it's terrible.
So we're
So I held this other tread lightly for a really long time, and now it's not worthless, but it's certainly significantly more trivial.
It's less good, yeah.
Yeah, it's significantly more trivial now.
So we're gonna actually install.
You're gonna overwrite that trap.
Yep. Advance.
Because you're getting the sense that I might be able to mess you up soon.
Yep.
All right.
There it is. All right.
Let's hit it. So we're going to play the overclock. We have all 3 breakers now. What's this? A barrier. Terrible.
Yep.
But we have free bucks, and free bucks are good bucks.
Yep. Do you do it again?
I am going to do it again. It's going to feel real bad, but we're going to get there.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to blow up to a trap.
That would be glorious, but no.
I think I just won, right?
No,
I'm at 6. Yeah.
Superconductor's only worth 1.
All right, then I'm going to hit that.
Yeah. All right. And so, would you like to give me all that money?
I mean, I don't, but I will, I guess.
Yep. Sure, understandable.
You're going to play another one? Yep, you sure are.
Well, no, I'm going to play Planogram and draw 3 cards.
And then you're going to see. Yeah.
Yeah.
See what you draw.
Yeah. Sadly, no.
Yeah, you don't quite get there.
No, I'll drop this in here.
We'll take the money. We'll draw some cards. We'll sure gamble.
Yep.
And we'll place some more credits on there.
Yep.
I like the suite of starting resources here. I think it really promotes better play.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's interesting.
I think they've done a good job here of creating decks that teach these decks, rather than them trying to make the decks like weirdly balanced inside the factions out of the box. This is teaching you all of the different ways cards can be, right?
Sure.
Like you have one breaker that, trashes itself after you use it. You have one breaker with a weird boost. You have one breaker with a weird break. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have a virus. You have something that reduces costs. You have something that triggers off of runs. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
So this starter deck is teaching me, if I was a new player, all of the different card types, not just the subtypes, but the different ways cards can be in the game.
Right.
All right, what's getting scored here? Show me.
Money.
We'd love to see it.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to put down Conduit, which only costs me 3.
Yep.
And we're going to start running.
Okay.
And Unity is gonna break this pretty well.
Thankfully, you only have to.
It's only fewer than 7, right?
It's 6 or less, so yes.
Yeah. So
Yes, the first time you get in for only the one.
I would like to use leash, and that's game.
Well, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't get, I couldn't get any money right there at the beginning, so I was sitting on 2 government subsidies and no cash.
I have to say, for a neutral runner, I really like this art, and it's not just because the character is head shaved and of a indeterminate gender.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good, it actually does somewhat remind me of it does some of the same things that the Cyber General that nobody ever sees besides on the original box.
Yeah.
Sort of the intentionally sort of color neutral and ambiguity.
All right. Do we want to switch it up?
Yeah.
All right.
A little bit of a shame that I couldn't get any money to come through.
Well, hopefully I'll get money.
Hands, but sure. Exactly what I want, right?
Yeah. I only care about ME, my enjoyment. All right. This hand is hot trash, so we're going to throw that back.
Nice, nice. This seems acceptable.
All right. So, let's talk about things that we can do. So, I think this is a good piece for R&D because it's affordable and effective immediately. We're just going to use this to gain 3.
Nice.
And then we're going to build that out.
Nice. So, we're going to do the old, you got to make sure you get rolling fast and play out a red team.
Nice.
We're going to go take a poke at the good old HQ because it's open. There's a fun house. Lovely. We're going to take a poke at archives because it's free money. And then we're going to use our lovely VRcation to draw some more cards.
Nice.
And we'll see what we can dump off here at the end. The answer is, I don't know.
So, for new players who may be watching, it's interesting because some of these new runner and corp cards go counterintuitive to the logic because they encourage you to draw late in your turn, which has generally been considered a bad idea. But what it is doing is it's giving you the tempo but forcing you to make choices because then it's forcing you to discard.
Right.
So we're going to put that on HQ. We're going to get that in the remote and see if he wants to take a look.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to say, hey, check this thing out that I put in here.
Yeah.
Gosh, these arts are so good. NISEI, your arts are so good.
Well, so let's see. Do a couple things. Well, first, let's get our free money while we can get free money.
Yeah. Got to get it while the getting's good.
Yep. Grab a card, see what we got here. We'll go ahead and let's drop that Unity and let's take some time off and grab some cash.
Love it. All right. So the time to draw is generally early. We're going to put that on archives and shut down the money train, and then we're going to hit this for 3.
Yep. So we're going to actually decide that no, the money train will continue, and we'll go have a check on R&D.
So res diviner.
Okay. So we have 2 code gates, or two icebreakers rather. So let's continue to encounter it, and we're going to spend 1 credit to add 1 strength for each icebreaker.
Yep.
And 1 to break.
Nice. Cuts into your profits a little bit.
Yeah. And we see a card, and that card's going to stay there. And we're going to draw and draw. Yeah, so he's got loads of cash at the moment, but we have a Wildcat Strike. Which would you like? Really? All right. So,
I'm taking the bet that you won't be able to install everything that you just drew.
yeah. Well, alternatively, we can go have
Balder, I'm sorry there's a dog in the house now. You're
a poke
hiding out with me.
on R&D.
He's like, this is terrible. I promise I'll be good.
And keep going. All right. And all right. I'm gonna drop this optimizer in, and then we're going to use our lovely mutual favor and go and get ourselves
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Carmen for cheap.
Yeah. You love to see it. That's a nice play. You got a lot of efficiency there because you got the price reduction of Carmen because you had just run, and you got the DMZ Optimizer.
Yeah. And threw out the spare Mayfly, which was a little sad, but cost to be paid.
Time to get dangerous.
All right. Well, let's see. Get some money. And let us find out. Alrighty. Well, we can encounter, but let's let that end that there. And grab another credit.
All right, so we're gonna advance, and score this bad boy.
Yeah. 'Tis a thing. Sometimes gotta happen. So let's see. We're gonna grab some more cash. We're going to go ahead and grab some cards here.
I hope Elizabeth Mills is still in the canon. I hope that's. I mean, it's got to be Elizabeth Mills.
Yeah, I have to assume so. And we're gonna also. Let's drop this penny shaver here.
All right, so let's do that. Let's do that. And let's put that in there.
All right. Grab cash, as is expected. And let's go have a look at R&D here while it's still nice and cheap. Okay. Gonna draw, and we're gonna take credit, and we will. Let's see. Trash a conduit.
All right. Let's start pushing to the limit, baby.
Alrighty. Let's see. First we're draw. We are going to grab my penny shaver credits and make Dan spend some money.
Yeah, I'll res.
All right.
This is nice because it just taxes, right?
Right.
Just non-trivial, but
Yep.
not super impactful either.
Right.
Nice balance there.
Keep going.
Yep.
Alrighty. This is only straight 2.
So this is where the bad break or the bad boost costs comes in.
Yep. Well, let's there's no let the first one fire and jack out option, but let's
I think it is
let's go ahead
automated.
and
So
do
if you
that.
say fire all, I think it'll give you the prompt after the first one, and if not, we can always backtrack it.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure. Yep, it's gonna
Okay,
get.
there we go. And
Yeah,
now it's giving me the option.
Noah and the other people have been doing a really good job of making sure that the newer cards are fully implemented. They've done a tremendous job getting this ready ahead of time for us to play. Thank you, everybody who works on JNet and the test server and the play testing team. Everybody who volunteers their time to help keep this game going and keep the play experience well. It's just, you're the real MVP, and I'm not, like, that's not a joke or me being silly. Like, it's crazy the amount of volunteer time that goes into this game.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, there it is, and there that is. All right. Well, money or cards?
This time it's going to be money because you have less cards.
Cool.
Gosh, that Wildcat Strike is a really good card.
Yeah. Draw a card anyway here. Let's install that conduit for one less. Let's go take a poke. Alrighty. We're gonna continue to encounter. And let's not. So now we have finally burnt out Dan's money.
Yeah, it was a long road, but you got there.
We're going to draw. Install this smartware distributor and put some money on it.
I also like that it's just like a shitty cell phone. Like, it looks like a cell phone cart, like a off-brand like cell phone cart. Oh right, I have a higher maximum hand size. Ho 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 ho.
You do. Which is... Oh, yes, I can just cause this to auto-resolve. Never ask. So let's... draw... Credit. I think we're just taking credits. We got credits.
I drew last click. Don't do that.
Yep. Alright, so we're going to install a Docklands pass,
Ooh, exciting.
and we're gonna have a poke.
Gosh, that art is really nice.
We're gonna have a nice thorough poke here.
Okay.
So we're going to. Yeah, we're gonna fully break that. And
All right.
we're gonna feel real bad about.
I'm gonna feel real bad about it. Spending
Yep,
4
yep,
credits on that. Yeah.
yep. Well, feel real bad about trashing the whatchamacallits, the leech.
Yeah.
Both of them, unfortunately. Honestly, no. Okay. And no.
So many cool accesses. So you combine. So for those watching at home, because he combined Jailbreak, which gave him an additional access, and the Docklands Pass, got to access a total of 3 cards because 2 separate effects of the same type, unless otherwise noted, will stack on top of each other.
Right.
Got to push it to the limit.
Yep. This is a bit rough, but
I mean, you still have the Mayfly.
yeah, no, that's not the bit that's rough. I mean, the Mayfly doesn't do me a whole lot more that the everything else doesn't, except for the brawn. But like, paying through the brawn's really not a useful prospect, I don't feel. Instead, we have other options. Well, we've got a couple of options. None of them are great.
So
So,
let's talk about it. So you've probably got some money events in your hands,
right.
and you're thinking, what? So no, don't tell me what's in your hand, but I'm saying like
Right.
your thought process. So you have to be concerned whether or not the outmost ice is something you can break with your other breakers or is also a barrier, right?
Right.
Because if it's also a barrier and you use up one of your overclocks or something, then you can end up burning up a lot of money.
Right. Well, Mayfly will work for the whole run.
Right.
But the other option is, of course, I've got Conduit. But I also know for a fact that that is very likely to be the game-ending agenda or a trap, and really no good options of anything in between. Because I know I hit the seamless launch in your hand, therefore I know that you have the ability to
Score a 5-3.
Right.
See, right. These are the thoughts you have to have. What's the risk reward, right?
Right. So we're gonna go ahead and sure gamble, and we're gonna try to be foolish here. So let's go ahead and have a tag, and have some tags, and with that we'll also have some tags.
Uh-oh. Go and tag me.
I mean, sure, but we know that the game should likely end if not. Alright, so this is interesting that it doesn't just let me... It's not as good about the fully break divider
Yeah,
with Unity.
it's weird because it doesn't have. It's probably because it doesn't have a flat strength that it can always do the math with. So the coding's probably a little different.
Right.
Because those are based off of like the flat strengths that are programmed into the cards, whereas this has a variable strength, so it probably
Yeah.
doesn't do that calculation, right?
Right.
Oh, you're just gonna be like, let's go ham and see what we can find.
Yeah, let's go see what we can find. We'll go
Yeah,
digging.
kicking it old school. So he's just gonna pile on tags. You love to see it.
I mean, I know for a fact that more tags is not actually a problem here. And we're gonna... Oh. Oh, that's right. We have to do it that way. I forgot that this is, that you have to make the run through conduit.
Yeah.
Which actually changes sort of how you can do other interactions here.
Yep, and it makes it so that you can't combine conduit with things like jailbreak.
Right. Or, for that matter, though, overclock.
Right, you can't. Your big multi-access has to be done with conduit. You don't get to do special cool shit, which I think is
Right.
very good.
Right, but I had the overclock, and I could have actually used that on the first click before I had any counters on conduit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Gotta go fast. Gotta outrun this poor runner. While they're still poor.
poor.
While they're still
Who
poor.
said anything about being poor?
Oh yeah, the penny shaver. Delicious.
Yeah.
Classic. All right. Well, let's score this out. And get to a acceptable 5 points.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, let's trying to think what options I have here. It's not great.
So I bought a large dog bed, or what I thought would be a large dog bed, and then it came out, and only half of my dog's body fits on the large dog bed.
Aha.
So I guess I needed an extra large dog bed.
Yeah, that would be, I guess, kind of the interpretation I'd take away from that.
Yeah. Got got this nice 70-pound Rottweiler in my house now.
Oh. All right, so let's. So how does my temporary cash work?
Alan is very rightly assuming that I've been drawing a lot of cards and I haven't been scoring very much, and also R&D is really hard to get into. So it's worth taking a poke at HQ to see if I'm stashing away any agendas or tools that he can trash.
Right. So right now I'm at 7 credits, and right now overclock is not implemented, so it's got 5 credits on it. So we're gonna spend 2 from it for tithe. Right.
Well, no, you still click on the breaker.
Well, I'd be spending actual credits. I don't have temporary credits from overclock being unimplemented.
Oh, it was implemented for me.
It's not for me.
Huh.
Oh wait, no, there it is in play area. Okay, I see. Huh. Well, it's marked as unimplemented, and I just assumed it was correct.
A lot of cards are marked as unimplemented.
Select a credit containing card. Yep.
Yep.
That did do it. Wait.
Yep, it did it.
Well, no, it's trying to tell me to do it again. There it goes.
All right.
All right, and then we're going to... I have to encounter it first. Yep. Match and fully break. Yep. And so let's see what's in there. Yep. All right, something.
Yeah, and you got it. You got the one that was stashed away because you had the Docklands pass, which gave you the extra HQ access. Nice, well
Yep.
done.
I don't think it's gonna recover this for me, but it's something.
Yeah, it's certainly not nothing.
It is not nothing.
Balder, what are you doing? Huh? Being a crybaby? He's like a little baby.
He do be like that
Yeah,
sometimes.
it do be like that sometimes.
All right.
He's just like,
Well,
please get this dog out of my house. They haven't been aggressive towards each other, but Balder is definitely not a fan.
right.
I'm hoping that he will soon realize that he now has the best cuddle buddy imaginable. If he would just be chill.
Right. Well, let's see.
Also, I love that they've done the thing that a lot of the FFG specific artists had done in the past, and that is like a trademark of the Netrunner world, where like people are interestingly and differently dressed from each
Mhm.
other. Like the outfits that people are wearing don't look the same unless they're like specifically part of the same group. Right? Like
Right.
if you look at like the suits on the different people look differently. Like some of the people are wearing things that are more reminiscent of overalls, right? Like Tao is wearing like it looks like a modified engineer's jumpsuit, and then like you know the guy buying the stuff in Smartwear Distributor looks like he's wearing like the modern like Adidas like Letterman style jackets that we have now. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I love that kind of stuff. Like I eat that shit up because I
yeah.
really love that element of the game when things look different, or like on seamless launch, like the woman has an interesting hairstyle and like a fashionable dress, and then the person that she's talking to is wearing like overalls and like hipster clothes, and yeah, I don't know, I love it.
Oh, it's really good. Also, good news. The remote's not scary anymore if you're not afraid of tags.
Oh yeah, well,
All right, there's that. So, we're gonna be real optimistic here. But yes. So, 2, 3, and a break. Oh, did it not take the break? It didn't take the break.
did it not
Break.
have a match strength?
It does.
No, I didn't have the match strength option. Just
It did not. No. But yeah, and break one subroutine's not doing it
yeah,
either.
yeah, just
Oh, because I'm not. Yeah, because I didn't.
because you weren't in
I
count.
wasn't encountering it. Yep, yep, yep. That's what did it. I thought it was letting me.
All right.
Yeah.
So go ahead and continue on. Yep, you're
Yep.
going to just take all the tags.
Yep. Yep.
And then
And
you're going
we're.
to. I believe you have to click on the ice to lose the tags.
Yeah, because it's an ability on the.
Yep. Or lose the
Oh.
clicks.
Yeah. Yep. 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 Let me add it.
Yep, you can have my sweet 5-3.
Nice. Uh. Oh, you get to ignore all costs. You don't have to pay the extra 3 for it.
Yep. Nice.
All right. Well, I'll take that. I'll take not having lost right there. We're not done yet, but
We're trying real hard to keep you out.
yeah. Um.
You've really clawed this game back. It's really anybody's game right now, which is really exciting.
Yeah, but it's also
I mean,
it's
you're
gonna be
broke,
tough.
but you've got to just figure out where you want to apply pressure this turn, right?
That broke.
Well,
Let's see.
Take me home. Contra Toad.
All right. Well,
Oh, also
see,
you did use Mayfly, so it should have trashed.
it should trash. Yes. There we
Because
go.
it's because you didn't actually use the native trashing feature.
Right, because I didn't use it because it wasn't letting me. Yeah, it wouldn't let me fire the thing. All right, so let's encounter that, and let's. Hmm.
Yeah. This asset that I put or upgrade that I put on R&D is really reaping dividends.
It is actually. I'd say, yeah.
Yeah. Because the
Um.
ice, now that you've decided to go tag me, the ice on R&D is quite bad. You're going to take the net damage?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the net damage
Okay.
because I got to be able to afford this.
All right. Come on in.
Yep. And yep. All right. Is that it? You got it? Yeah.
And I flatlined you because you were tagged.
Because I was tagged. There we go.
Yeah, double victory. What a finish.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So we played one game as each side. Let's talk about this as a product, as these dual decks. And obviously, there's more cards in System Gateway that are being featured here.
Right.
But these are the dual decks. How do we feel about these decks as decks that teach Netrunner?
It's interesting. I think they're definitely good. I think they're very different from what I'm used to playing, which makes it, feel a little bit odd.
Yeah, I
But
mean, it feels very much so like traveling back in time in a good way because all of these cards are expensive and kind of powerful and also, or kind of good, but also kind of bad. Where, like, it really is teaching you about the making choices parts of Netrunner
yeah,
that really got filed down to these really narrow margins by the big card pool where you had all of these amazing choices of really strong cards to choose from, where, like, the choice of tempo is between, an ice that costs 2 or an ice that costs 3. So having these more exaggerated costs and more kind of balanced pieces in a starter deck teaches those fundamentals a little bit better than, like, handing somebody a modern deck and trying to teach them.
yeah,
I do love that rather than being faction decks, we have a little smattering of everything. All of the pieces that are in these decks from the different factions feel like the factions themselves.
yeah.
And really are teaching the mechanics, all of the different mechanics that you could encounter, right? Because on the corpse side, we have encounter ice, we have a Bioroid, we have a net damage thing that does something if it hits a certain type of card out of the player's hand. We have an ice that has different strength depending on what server it's on, right? We have
Uh,
subroutines that say if the runner has this going on, this happens, right? So it's teaching you of all the different things you have to keep track of.
right. And
I like them. I think they do a good job. I like the agenda suite here. I love that it's a super interactional agenda suite. I hate 3-1s, but if you're going to put a 3-1 in a deck, this one is at least interesting and keeps the game going tempo positive, but that's just my personal hatred for
Hey,
3-1s.
yeah, you get to play sports metal.
Yeah. And I love that they're untyped identities that are just simple to play with, right?
Yeah,
So the idea is somebody could buy System Gateway and they could never get anything else and they could just play this, right, as dual decks, which is a really neat idea. And these two decks do feel pretty well balanced relative to each other. They both got a good amount of money. They have a lot of back and forth. They have a lot of, like, burst power with their win cons, right, with the multi-axis on the runner side, and the corp having these big pieces of ice, maybe getting a couple of them for free, and the speed up advanced tools, right? Like, everybody has, like, these little, like, sprint pieces, right, to keep them in the game.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it was pretty good. I have to ask, did you have another agenda in hand?
I didn't.
No. Yeah, that's what I guessed, but it was like, you know, it was basically the place I could check.
Yeah, and I think you did a great job of pressuring, and I just was able to. I drew into an agenda and was immediately able to windmill it in after you got the 5-3. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think if I had had to wait another turn for an agenda, or I would have had to have waited at least if I was only doing normal draws, I would have had to have waited. I'm looking at my R&D. I would have had to have waited 2 turns. Then you would have been able to lock me again.
Yeah, if I had the cash again, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could have made it into server one again. I mean, I had the cleaver as you now see in my my dead heap,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I mean,
um
and without the data suckers, the efficiency on that was going to be very taxing, but then it just becomes the late game runner, like, turtle strategy, right? Where you just kind of
right.
turtle up and wait because you know I can't fast advance out. I have to score.
Yeah.
And I opted to use my big upgrade that sucks for the runner on R&D to keep you from winning that way, which means that I didn't have it for scoring.
Right.
Because neither one of these decks have any recursion.
Right. And it's very interesting sort of the, you know, for example, the fun house is just like, yeah, it's the big scary, you know, it's the data raven, but
Right, but just like Data Raven, once they've decided that they don't care,
right.
then they don't care.
Right. But you know, if you had hit your I didn't actually even check to see if you'd
Yeah,
already
no, I didn't find it, but if I had hit the, where is it? If I had hit the Retribution, I would have
there's
just,
only the one. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's only the one, but if I had hit the Retribution, I could have
Yeah.
just cooked your Unity and just,
Oh, don't even cook the Unity. Cook the Carmen.
yeah, I mean, but the Carmen doesn't end the game
Uh,
based on what I have currently set up, right?
I mean, but Unity doesn't do anything to me on this for me on this board.
Yeah, I mean, the net damage would eventually kill you. But anyway. Why are you so
Well,
bad?
okay, yeah, the Diviner, but I mean, I assume you had like another Palisade on R&D on the outside there, right?
I have a white space here.
Okay, it's a white space.
So I have
Okay,
two
you
white
know,
spaces. So those would start taxing you out and make it incredibly difficult for you to run if you lose Unity.
right, right. Yeah, I
Um,
was thinking for the most part, you know, well, I mean, the Mayfly was gone. You did, you know, you assume that they either don't have the cleaver or it's going to be inordinately expensive, you know, and I feel like if you kill the Carmen, then it's just all of your centrals are basically permanently safe.
yeah, it depends, but yeah. Or if I'm worried about you rushing out to win, I could also blow up the conduit depending on how loaded of a baked potato it is, because I definitely don't
Right,
have the ability to purge or the time to spare to purge.
right, right. Yeah,
But
because you were down to 10 cards. You had 10 or fewer turns.
to win this thing, yeah, I really enjoyed this. Thank you, Alan, so much for being willing to go through this with me. What do you
Yeah.
Are you gonna try to pick up System Gateway when it comes out? Do you think?
Yeah, I think so. You know, I'll take a moment. I gotta apologize to Thomas because I still have one of his Project Atlas, although I'm not sure that's as
I don't know
big
how
of a deal
relevant that
anymore.
is. Yeah, I don't know how relevant that is anymore.
But
But yeah,
yeah, I should try and you know get back in, get some more time in Netrunner.
yeah, and I really can't stress enough from creating compelling characters standpoint, from a getting back to really having the color pies matter. I really like what Nisei has been doing. Some of the power levels of things and some of the things that they're choosing to remove, those are a lot of a matter of opinions, and there's some things that I really strongly agree with and some things that I don't. But I'm not on the design team. But I just think overall they're doing a really good job, and I think this is going to be a really incredible product for all of us who try to proselytize the game. Like I said, I'm going
Yeah,
to put links to Nisei's stuff in the video description below. Check them out. There's a bunch of wonderful artists in here too. So when you go to the website, they have links to a lot of the people who have been drawing for and creating digital art for Nisei. A lot of them have storefronts for alt art cards, or some of them even have things for art prints or playmats. You can check all those things out. Support the people who are supporting us. And until we see all of you beautiful Netrunner humans again, always be running. Hello, everyone, and welcome to session 2 of a very special episode of Self-Modifying Code, where I am diving in to the System Gateway dual decks, the advanced dual decks, I should say. I'm joined today by a friend of the show and a good friend of mine, Birdy. Welcome, Birdy. You can go ahead and say hi.
I did. Hi, everybody.
So, we're here today to play another session. We're going to play a pair of games. One is the runner and one is the corp each with the dual decks. Birdy has opted to just kind of pick out the cards as we go, so that's what we're going to do. So let's dive in, take a look at our hands, and see how we do. So, Birdy, what do you think of the new dual decks having these neutral, no identity ability to learn the game?
I was like, it's a flip, you know, from how. Why are my cards not showing? It's not what I was expecting, you know, but it is a good way, I think, to like encourage figuring out where the threads are, if that makes any sense. Like a huge barrier to entry for me when I was first starting out was trying to not only trying to figure out how to build my own deck, but also trying to figure out how to predict what the other side was going to do. But there were so many options.
Sure.
Predictability became overwhelming, and I was like, okay, well, this game makes me feel mentally deficient, and I'm just going to like toss my deck across the table at the person who's, you know, in good faith trying to play with me, and we're not even going to do anything.
All right, so we both you kept and I mulled. I mulled because I had breakers and only a single money card with no draw card, and I didn't get much better. So let's see how it goes. You're up first.
I am still looking at my cards because they didn't flip over to show me what they were until I kept. So I'm trying to figure out my first move. Oh, I didn't want that. Oh well.
So one of the biggest things for me is just like little design choices, things that even though we're playing with neutrals kind of really introduce the theme. Like the Syndicate, we're somewhere, right, looks like it could be on the moon, maybe not on Earth based on like the lack of atmosphere, right? It looks like a big industrial like corporate facility. On the other side, we have the Catalyst, who is wearing fashion of the kind that's we've seen in the past in the Android Netrunner universe, the kind of like fusion of dress clothes and like street clothes. And they have a shaved head and are ungendered, so or not specified gendered. So you can see yourself in the character no matter who you are. I really like that. Adds that little bit of mystery to it. I really like it.
My favorite. Oh, I have to click start turn.
Yeah, you sure do.
Um,
So looking at our hand, we have the ability to threaten a little bit and some late game pressure, and we definitely have better money now than we did with the first hand. So we'll make do with other things that our hand is lacking.
I have to remember how to use this interface. Let's do this. Just to get it started because I'm nervous.
All right. Classic play.
Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Can I undo click? Does slash undo click still work?
Yep. So
'Cause
this game also, these two decks that we're playing really have the gamut of different abilities that exist in the game. So, you know, you're going to have an on-encounter ice. You're going to have an ice that has a subroutine that changes the next subroutine. You're going to have an upgrade, defensive upgrades. You're going to have money that you click on. You're going to have money that drips down. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to do the dash. It's undo click with a dash in it.
Oh.
Like a hyphen.
Okay, because I wanted that to go on HQ.
Okay.
I like having them already built to show like what the archetypes could be, not what they should be, but what they could be. And then once you start anticipating those.
Well, so one of the big things that I think from a making a product standpoint that made a lot of sense about the original core set is they tried to design the factions and what cards were available in the core set to make the factions playable out of the core set on their own. But then the decks were not really balanced relative to each other very well because they really had to focus on making the value of the product good. NISEI doesn't have that problem because they're not a corporation that needs to turn a profit on a product. They still want to create a good experience, but they can focus fully on the play experience, not the marketability of the product to a wide audience. They just want to make the best play experience. All right, so that's what we're going to get. So I guess I'm going to have to punish you a little bit. So we're going to put down Conduit, which is the medium replacement. So they put medium back into the game and made it Shaper. So you don't have anything there, so you got to let me go. I'm going to trash. Yep. I'm going to use Conduit. We're going to go in again. And now I'm going to access more cards. Yay!
I'm so glad you're having a good time right out of the gate.
I'm having a great time. Oh, except for I forgot that I actually have to click on Conduit to do the Conduit run, but oh well. I'll do it later. I've got to remember. Baldur's here.
Oh, well, this is a fun card.
Yeah, and if you're looking at the arts, like, all of the arts are super professional, and a lot of them are way better than the early arts, or even some of the late game arts that FFG did, and they did a tremendous job. But NISEI is really knocking it out of the park. They've really gotten their feet under them as far as art is concerned now that they actually have a budget to work with from the money that they've made from previous products and donations, and also the World's budget from last year.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw early.
Yep.
Just to see if I can get... Okay, yes, that is exactly what I wanted.
Just to get a little taste, see if you can get a little taste of the...
Oh! Oh, I love this card already. Okay, so we're going to put this one there. And we're going to start setting up, I think. Oh, you trashed one of my cards! You bastard! Oh, yeah, sorry, excuse me.
That's my job.
I missed that. When the winner accesses this asset. Oh, that's a good card. I don't like it.
It's a Junebug replacement.
I see this. Okay. Alright, we're setting up. I'm ending turn. It's your turn.
We're going to draw.
Good luck.
We're going to draw again. We're going to click for a credit, and then we're going to play Creative Commission. So, Creative Commission is the new way that they're trying to create interesting decisions with cards. So, it's like a sure gamble that you can pay from one credit, but you have to play it as your last click or you lose a click. So, if you want that money for this turn, you have to spend an extra click on it, which is a really interesting design decision.
As the corp, I enjoy taxes on the runner. As a runner, I'm probably never going to choose that card. Another one. I didn't want that. What are we gonna do? What is my... strange card to have in a factionless deck. But I guess we're just kicking the tires, right?
Yep. It's giving you a tour of what the different factions, generally speaking, are good at. And that's one of the other things that Greg is trying to get back to, which I think is going to create some cool cards, but also maybe some very specific cards. Is the design team is really trying to get back to having the color pie exist, where like Jinteki is good at this, Wayland is good at this, NBN is good at this, right? HB is good at this, right? Because what ended up happening is as the normal Netrunner card pool got bigger and bigger and bigger, the margins of difference between the factions and what they were good at became less and less and less. Do you know what I'm saying? Where you were able to play very easily all types of decks out of all types of factions, so the color pie kind of went away.
And like I said, that's what started becoming too much for me to keep up with anyway, because everyone was good at everything and you couldn't sit across the table from somebody and predict what they were going to do, so it just felt like you couldn't do any intelligent play at all, at least from my end, because I didn't have time to sit and memorize everything that was possible.
Sure. All right, so I'm going to put down this, and then we're going to make a run
What
on
are
R&D.
you? Oh, I love Mayfly. How much money do I have?
It's a one-time use breaker.
As soon as I saw it, all I could think of was Geist.
Yeah, well, Geist isn't going to exist anymore. A bunch of people are going bye-bye. All right, what is this? So I actually am going to just let this fire so I don't lose Mayfly, because even... So go ahead and fire all subroutines, because I'll lose the 3, and I'll still be above 6, so I won't get stopped by it. And then go ahead and let me pass. And we're gonna access.
No
Hey!
Mer 2.
Absolutely, hell yeah.
Upsetting.
I'm an upsetting guy.
This is gonna be a quick game. What are you?
Gotta armor up the centrals, baby.
So we're gonna draw for armor. Oh, very nice. I don't know what I can do with this, because... Let me look at this deck. I'm out. Roll check. Do I have anything that'll... Okay. I think we're gonna have to talk about this deck and the options it gives us when we're done playing, because it's not making sense to me, but alright. I'm gonna play an operation. Should I play an operation?
I don't know.
Let's wait.
Only you can know.
I know. So since you like to hit R&D, we're gonna armor up R&D just to tax you a little bit.
Is that a fact?
Wait, time out. What's the other? Yeah, Code Gate. Armor up R&D, and the... I don't understand. Oh, because I drew. You dumb person. Again, this game makes me feel mentally deficient, all the things you have to keep track of.
You'll get there.
It's always fun when you pull an amazing hand and you're like, hell yeah, I'm gonna fire everything that I'm holding in my hand right now, and you completely forget. You have unres cards with when turn begins abilities. What are my unres cards with when turn begins abilities?
Probably one of those assets, I'd say.
Yes.
So you want to res that, if it's a drip card, you want to res it beforehand. We built Drip City. We built Drip City on all your dough. Are you going to res one of those cards by clicking on it?
I am. I'm trying to remember which one was the one to res first.
You can hover over
I was reading them.
Do you like how Nico campaign is a HB androgynous model campaign?
I did. It made me remember the old days
Yeah.
of wondering where Adam was. So now I start my turn, and then I get my 3.
Yeah.
Okay. And I got my draw. What are you gonna do?
Balder, no. Come on, buddy. They're this close to being friends. Her lady and Balder. He's letting her progressively get closer to him. Because he doesn't even realize how much of a good snuggle friend he's gonna have once he chills out. You know?
Time. Want to put this?
All right. So kind of walk people through what you're thinking a little bit.
I haven't.
That'll
I
also
haven't-
help me help you.
Yes, I have an upgrade that I'm considering where I want to put it.
So
Should I just tell you what they are, or
no, not necessarily. So the thing that you have to think about, especially with these types of core set decks, is you need to push, because the longer the game goes on, the more inevitable the runner gets in a small card pool. Right? So you should be thinking, what can I do to push my board state forward? And force me, meaning you forcing me, the runner, to make runs.
it's also not know it's I'm sorry, it's just not knowing this deck and not knowing what there is to telegraph with advancements. You know?
I do know.
Okay, so we're gonna leave that alone. Uh, okay. So I have a plan for that in a second. And we are just going to do that.
Okay.
So we're gonna put the upgrade on R&D just because you keep going in there. Do I want to set up? I do want to set up. We are going to set this up here. I promise I have a plan. And we're gonna click for cash because I have none.
All right, we're going to draw once. We're going to put this down. We're going to hit it once. And then we're going to put another one of them down.
Resource job. Okay, fair.
Telework contract. So it's like a Cotty Jones that you can take 3 credits from a turn, but it has the same Cotty Jones caveat where it can only be used once per turn.
Hey, got a money card finally.
Nice. You have a money card. You have an eco campaign.
I know, but I have an instant money. I pulled a hedge fund. I prefer to get my hedge funds out of the way. Because I'm used to playing fast advances. And I want all my money immediately. So we're going to play it. Just to get it out, we're going to draw. I didn't want that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have nothing I can play right now. I don't think.
Well, then you can just click for a credit.
That's what I'm going to do.
All right, so let's run archives just to get a run in.
No further actions. Who are you? Okay. Ugh.
Ta-da!
Hmm.
Mutual favor, baby. It's like special order plus.
Hmm. Now I have to remember what each of my ice was.
You love to see it, you know?
Yeah, it's a good time. Okay. What are we doing?
Playing Netrunner. Hey, this character that I'm playing has the same haircut as me. Buzzcut babes. I think I've finally gotten used to the completely no hair. Like my internal vision of myself includes no hair now. You know what I mean?
Can't imagine. I say as I
Stroke your
stroke my
luxurious
lush
Rapunzel hair.
that goes down past my butt now.
Yeah. Well, whatever that is, you can have it. So enjoy it.
Damn it.
Because it's probably a trap.
Rookie mistake. Telegraphing it. Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that.
So
Okay.
do me a favor. The defensive upgrades that are in there, I think one of them needs to be rezzed before I run. So you might want to res that asset on R&D now.
It doesn't.
Okay, I'm just... If it's the
Have to
purple
be.
one, it needs to be rezzed ahead of time. So just letting you know.
Nope.
Okay.
That one. But now I'm stuck with nothing to do. Successful run to it. Did you made a successful run during your last turn, right?
Correct.
Cool beans. We're gonna get this out of my hand. Are we gonna get this out of my hand? Why aren't we going to get this out of my hand?
Oh, I didn't run last turn. No, I ran the turn before. Sorry.
Oh, darn.
But now I know what card you have.
Yeah, the fire is play only if the runner made a successful run during their last turn.
Yep. That'll happen.
Don't like this. I think I'm gonna draw. Is rezzing after your turn started, like, frowned upon?
Not necessarily. It depends on the card and what it's being used for.
I mean, it's just a money card, but I want more money. I don't know how to. I want all of these cards and I can't play any of them. That sucks. So we're just gonna be flush with cash and losing a bunch of cool stuff. Discard. You. Where'd my little fire guy go?
All right.
Pass turn.
Jailbreak. Look at this art. Look
Oh
how-
my goodness, when I was examining this card yesterday, I was so excited. Ugh. Okay, fine.
Are you gonna res the ice?
Yep.
I'll take a tag. This one's a code gate, so it's gonna be that to get it up to strength. Then I'm gonna break that. Do you see this code gate? One credit equals +1 strength for each installed icebreaker, including this one. Be still, my Shaper Heart.
Man,
All right,
obnoxious.
I'm coming on through. So I'm
No
gonna get to.
further action.
Hey, I
You're
win!
gonna you're gonna get a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I was flooded.
All
I was
right,
completely flooded with no space.
all right. Do you want to switch sides, and then we'll come back and do one more with you as the corp? We could do.
Yeah.
We could do 3 games. It's not a big deal. All right, let me make the next game.
Um, Leave game.
So now
So many buttons.
I'm the corp.
My cards are still not flipping over. What do we have? What do we have? Um,
We had a C hand and we mulliganed into another C hand, so because we can't use this yet, and this isn't very good, and this isn't good yet, so weird stuff's going on. So let's see what we
Yep.
draw.
Me too.
So I guess we're just gonna do this to start.
Oh, I love this art. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the art's real good on a lot of these cards.
It super is. Oh my goodness.
All right, you're up.
Oh my god, how cute. No money cards in my mulligan. That sucks. What are you gonna do?
Well, you gotta start your turn.
Thank you for reminding me, because I always forget to click that button. So, do I immediately want to start doing jobs?
Well, if the card has money on it, then yeah. But you might want to draw first if your options are limited, right? You always want to draw early in the turn.
Oh. What
'Cause
kind of neon? I love this.
Because the number of times I've done stuff and then drawn, and then the card that I draw is a sure gamble that I could have used, you know?
Yeah. Okay, what can I do? Nothing. That's so upsetting. Okay, I think I'm just going to do the boring thing. I'm gonna install that and I'm gonna gain credits back and end my turn because all the cool stuff in my hand has to wait until I have more clicks for it.
Okay, well, I'm going to draw. I'm going to put down that. And then I'm going to gain a credit. And I got to get rid of that.
Okay, I'm going to start my turn. I'm going to put this down.
Yeah.
I'm going to...
If you want to use red team, you have to click on it.
Okay. I'm going to card red team. I'm going to run archives.
Okay.
Can
Yep.
I use leash?
Yes. It just it always asks you. You can click on the card and say always resolve if you want.
Okay. Oh, groovy. Thanks for
Yep.
putting that there for me.
Cool. Yep. And it lets me res this ice for free.
Oh, shut up. There's the one that's... There's another one that I just saw. Oh no, it was in my mulligan hand. Never mind. I think I'm going to... You have not run this turn. Okay. I'm going to run archives again just to get more on virus.
Okay.
Access server. Yes. And then I want more money. Pass turn.
Look at this beautiful art with Lizzie Mills on it. The legendary executive with the bob cut.
Oof. Okay. Start turn. Is it worth it to me? No. Okay. Need that yet. I'm gonna start. For a click, I'm going to run archives,
Nice.
pump leech up, and then I guess I'm just gonna start setting up my rig,
If you have
right?
mutual favors, you can play that now to install a breaker.
I don't have mutual. Is it early enough in the turn to try and draw for it?
Yeah, sure. You can draw a card.
Nope. Just
Alright.
just gave me another breaker I need to install.
Do you have Carmen in your hand? Because Carmen costs less if you made a successful run.
It does say that, doesn't it? I love this art. I love this art.
Yeah. So now would be a good time to play that because you're going to get...
So that gives me 3.
Yep.
And do I want to install which one first?
I mean, right now, you only need Carmen because the only thing that you can see is a sentry. So get in the habit of not installing breakers that you don't need yet. Usually your sentry breaker is enough to keep you safe from things like program trashing, right? So if you don't need other breakers, why install them now? Why spend money and tempo? You know what I'm saying?
Gotta go fast, Code.
But going fast is continuing to attack, not spending money and tempo on things that you aren't using. Do you understand?
I do now.
All right.
What are you?
So now you can run archives and you can run HQ with red team. You could make 2 runs with it because it just specifies that you can't do the same one twice, not that you can only use it once a turn because you can break Karuna or
Yes.
Karuna. I don't know what the syllable emphasis is on that card. It's Karuna. I don't know.
I've only heard Karuna. It's a I'm pretty sure it's a Reiki level. Access server, yes. And then we're going to do HQ.
Yep. And
Is
then
this smart?
you can use a data sucker to bring it down to Carmen strength, so you don't have to spend 3.
The what?
Yeah, it's a data sucker token. That's what it is. So click on leech.
I did. Hosted virus counter. Come on. Oh no, I gotta continue to encounterize, huh?
Okay. Then click on Carmen.
Click on Carmen. How many credits do I have?
A lot.
I want to...
Well, it should have a fully break option.
Yes.
Yep.
Am I using leech again? Oh, I get that counter back. Nice. What are you? Sure. And I have 2 clicks left. And I don't know what anything is. But I have 8 credits. So let's always be running, and I think I'm gonna run that server. This one. Yes. What are you? You are Code Gate. When the runner encounters this ice. Oh, so I get a tag no matter what.
No. No, you don't get a tag no matter what. It's like Data Raven. You either end the run or you get a tag. You have to continue on to the approach, though, so all of the stuff can continue working. Yep.
I am going to take 1 tag.
All right, so now I'm going to fire unbroken subs. So you can choose to take another tag, or you can pay 4 credits.
I will pay the 4 credits.
Okay.
Access server. Deal. How much is it to remove a tag?
2 credits and a click.
2, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Nervous. It's so funny to like Anarch as much as I do, and I'm always afraid of dying. I'm going to take that tag because I don't have the credits. Stop.
Oh, crap.
Get off. Huh?
I didn't realize how that new card works. Okay, so I pay it, and I get both things because you're tagged. That feels nice.
Understand. Oh, okay. I see where the... Alright.
Yeah, predictive planogram does both things if you're tagged, which is really nice.
Yes.
And now you're tagged again.
Obnoxious. How many credits do I have?
2 credits.
Not enough. I'm going to draw once. I'm going to draw twice. Not what I wanted on either account. So we're gonna... Strength. All these numbers to keep track of. Okay. So, do I click leech before I make the approach?
No, once you're encountering, you use it.
Okay, I would like to run HQ again.
Okay.
I'm going to click leech.
Yep.
Cool. And now I click
Carmen and use break all subs.
break all subs, access server. I can do nothing. Okay. Murph. Gain credit. We're gonna discard that one. Sure would love a money card.
I sure do love that you don't have a money card, you know? I'm about that life.
So we're gonna draw 1. We're gonna draw 2. Like this. that one. Pass turn.
Yep.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Get in the trash, Cleaver. Yeah.
No. I wanted that last one. Or
Nah.
that first one.
Nah. Yeah. Get in the trash.
Oh, that's upsetting.
You love to see it.
Okay, we're gonna start turn. We're getting rid of the pesky tag. We're gonna draw. What are you? How much is that?
I don't know. I can't see your hand, Birdie.
Sure. I'm talking to myself. I think we're gonna draw just for protection. No, there's nothing you can do if I'm gonna do this. I would like to run HQ again, just because I know what I'm looking at.
Nice.
Encounter ice, click leech.
I love the art on the abstract art on Overclock. I love all the new art. I think all the new art's really good.
Why isn't it letting me do
Oh, I'm
anything?
sorry.
It's okay. To cut it like that. Cool. Access server. Yes. That's not what I wanted. Nothing else I can do. Darn! I feel really vulnerable right now.
It's alright. Believe in the heart of the cards.
Yeah, okay. I need to worry about the brain of the runner. What are you? Oh, I like that. Okay. So I guess install and then click.
Mm-hmm. Load that sweet baked potato up. I'd say at this juncture, for next turns, you need to be like, especially since your hand is nearly empty, you need to be more aggressively drawing.
Okay.
Let's draw once. Taking my own advice. And then we're going to advance. What is it? What could it be? It could be anything.
He's not touching it.
Yeah, it could be anything. Could even be a loaded baked potato.
What is this?
Yes. I gotta get rid of something.
Unfortunate.
I mean, I think it's pretty fortunate, to be honest, because that's a barrier on my remote, which turns out you can't break those. Cause,
Yeah, so I need to spend even more money to...
yeah, you need to start accessing centrals, baby.
The worst.
I think it's actually... I think you misunderstood, because it's the best. It's actually the best.
But I don't like being forced to do things, right?
Well, you're gonna be forced to do things.
Oh!
Gotta make some runs,
Okay.
Birdie, or you're gonna lose to remote lockout.
It's the first time. What? I don't understand this card.
Is it the virus?
It's verbal No, it's verbal plasticity. The first time each turn you draw cards with the basic action, draw one card. So does that mean I draw 2 cards?
Yes.
Okay. Well, instead we're going to do this. Because that
Varcation.
makes me feel better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that. Okay. I don't like that, so we're going to discard that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to discard that, and now I'm good. And hoping to do some stuff next turn. If you don't...
All right. So you have 1 turn to win. So
Unfortunate.
you should be spending your turns making runs. Your clicks
Yes.
taking runs. Drawing cards, you're not going to magically... These dual decks don't have, like, any big surprise cards. So drawing is not the answer. Running is the answer. And you cannot get into the remote. So you gotta hit the centrals. The win is out there. Because these decks have a pretty... The Corp deck has a reasonably high agenda density. And you've got money, and you've got your little leech tokens to make Carmen not a nightmare, because 2 for 3 strength makes for some very weird math on a lot of ice.
Alright, I guess first we're going to run HQ.
Yeah, that seems right. Can she get there? Uh-oh. She gets 1. Where's the other agenda? So, I'm kind of taunting Birdie here, but this is one of the biggest decision points in close games of Netrunner like this, because this game is actually
Right.
incredibly close, viewers, even though it looks like I've been in control of the game, because my centrals are porous, or they appear porous. So that means that we're both 1 score away from victory, but Birdie needs to figure out whether hammering HQ, trying to access R&D, which one is going to give the best opportunity, right? So this is kind of one of the think-throughs of this game versus like a Magic the Gathering, where Magic, you have unlimited actions as long as you can afford them. In Netrunner, because of the click economy, Birdie only has so many actions to try to win the game before I inevitably win the game on the next turn.
I want to take a look at archives just because.
Okay, there might be something in there. That's not the worst.
Let me see. Nothing. Okay. Unfortunate. I would like you to go away, please. So now we're going to try and run R&D and hope it's a sentry.
Okay, it is a sentry.
Fantastic. I don't have to fire Leech for this.
Nope, because
I can...
Garmin. Carmen is already at the strength.
Cool.
All right, let's see if the top card's an agenda.
Oh, yes.
Gosh. So, from the Jaws of Defeat. So, I had 3 agendas in my hand the entire game. You were, like, talking about how far behind you were. I was, like, a turn away from death, like, the entire game.
I just had to keep hammering HQ.
Right.
You have a great poker face. That's all I got. That's all I have to say.
So, this was a 4-2, and, like, obviously this was completely... So if you managed to whiff on your... I had to play my outs, which was hope that you whiff on accesses, and I could just GG easy behind this barrier that you can't break. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But yeah, so unfortunately, we're not going to have enough time to do another match. But what do you think of these as like teaching the base mechanics of like the different factions and of the card types and stuff? What are your thoughts as somebody who has been kind of a dabbler in the game for a long time?
It's good. Like,
Normally, we'd be sitting here for minutes on end as I read the card and try to figure out how, like, what it does and how it plugs into the rest of the deck.
Right.
Because this isn't a game that has, singular good cards that are going to win you the game. You have to figure out how to make them all work together. And like this Leech to Carmen pipeline, like that's amazing. I never got like that would have taken me forever to figure out in the original incarnation of the game. Like this is just it sets you up perfectly on how I mean, not for nothing, you are a wonderful teacher and I have you here to hold my hand, but I didn't have to ask you many questions. I didn't have to stop and say, "Okay, I'm going to reveal to you what I have in my hand so you can tell me the smart play." I was able to figure it out this time on my own.
Yep, and I think there was a critical turn where I made a choice that actually cost me the game. So there was a turn after I tagged you where I chose to play the Econ card, Predictive Planogram, as my last click, instead of playing Retribution, which I also had in my hand, which I could have used to trash Carmen, which would have effectively ended the game. Because then running HQ would have been 4 net damage each time.
I
So
had another Carmen in my hand.
Hand.
I know, but
It
I'm
would have just cost me money.
right, but it would have slowed you down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I think these decks are pretty well matched. I think the other cards in the set are going to show how they play out. Obviously, most of these cards are not super powerful on their own. They all have strengths and drawbacks. So I think if you're playing this from this point, if you're expecting that finely tuned late meta experience of Netrunner, with these razor thin margins of efficiency on both sides, you're not going to get that. But what you will get is a little bit of a time travel back to year one where cards had big strengths and big glaring weaknesses with some of the lessons that we've learned from, 8 years of Netrunner cards being designed and showing us like pitfalls that ice and assets and other things can fall into. So I think it's a good starting point. Birdy, thank you so much for hanging out and letting me torture you with these decks.
Well, I sit here and think I'm losing
Yeah, I mean,
while I have mountains of credits and figure it out.
we went 1-1.
Good game.
Yeah, and everybody out there, check out System Gateway. Like I said, the stuff for NISEI and the System Gateway will be in the show notes below. Check it out, support them, and until we see you all again, always be running.